Hello, welcome to this forum for candidates for the special election in Anoka County, Commissioner District 6. All the candidates were invited to the forum, and you see 4 of them of the 6 are participating tonight. This forum is sponsored by the Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters, and it's being taped tonight by North Metro Telecommunications, where you'll be able to see it on YouTube and on the cable station. I'm Mary Santee. I'm a resident of White Bear Township nearby, and I do not vote for any of these candidates. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any candidate or any political party. We do, however, take positions on issues, and we lobby on those issues. We will not be doing any of that tonight. If you're interested in the League of Women Voters, you may go to our website at lwvabcmn.org. Women, men, and young people over age 16 can join. We meet the second Monday of the month, usually at Andover City Hall, and we have members from all over Anoka County. Anoka County District 6 has an open seat because former Commissioner Rhonda Sivaraha, I may be mangled that, everyone correct me, resigned to become Anoka County Administrator. The district includes the eastern part of Anoka County, including Linwood Township, Columbus, Lino Lakes, Centerville, Circle Pines, Lexington, and the eastern edge of Blaine. There are 6 candidates running, and they are, to my left, Cindy Hansen, Craig Johnson, Karen Lodico, and Jeff Reinert. Donovan McGuire, another candidate, has submitted a statement to be read. It will be read with the closing statements, and Kevin Ryan chose not to appear. There are no opening statements. Instead, we have provided all the candidates with 3 questions to begin with, and that is what we will do. We will go in this order for that first question, and then I have a random grid, so we'll jump around for the rest of the questions. Okay, the first question is, and you will have 1 minute, describe your background and community involvement. Cindy Hansen.
Hi, I'm Cindy Hansen, and I have served as an Anoka County elected official for 9 years as the mayor of the city of Spring Lake Park. I have served on the Anoka County Fire Protection Council for 6 years, the Anoka County Joint Law Enforcement Council for 9 years, and its governance committee for 3 years, the SBM Fire Department Council for 9 years. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree from Concordia College with a double major in art and business administration. I have also sang in the church choir for 4 years, assisted in the church kitchen for 3 years, and taught Sunday school and vacation Bible school. I have collaborated successfully on projects with Commissioners Brasted, Schulte, West, Kordiak, and Sivaraja, and I am a proud award recipient for invaluable support to the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon and support to the Military Order of the Purple Heart.
Thank you. Next is Craig Johnson.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's Craig Johnson, and I'm a 14-year resident of Lino Lakes. I've been married to my wife, Diane, for the past 11 years, and we have 3 nieces that we took guardianship about 6 years ago. I'm a graduate of Carlson School of Management, the University of Minnesota. I'm currently a risk advisor for USI Insurance. I have been on the City of Lino Lakes Charter Commission from 2014 to 2018. I was also district chair for Senate District 38 for parts of 2 terms. I've worked on numerous local campaigns, so I have a good understanding of this community and the candidates, the public officials. I've volunteered, I've been part of the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon in Hugo, Second Harvest Food Bank, and with my current company, USI Gives Back. This year we did Bridging, which is a great organization in Bloomington that helps with furniture for those in need. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Cindy Lodico.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Karen Lodico, and I've been a homeowner in District 6 for 21 years. Part of that 9 Lakes, currently in Circle Pine. Oh, sorry. Hopefully you heard that. I have 2 daughters that graduated, spent their entire academic career at Centennial High School, graduated from there and the University of Minnesota, and 12 of those years, almost their entire academic career, I was on the school board. And I also served on the 916 school board, which is an intermediate district for 8 of those years. During that time, so many different committees and cities we've worked with, you can't even begin what's involved. I don't have enough time, but I did serve also as a delegate for the Minnesota School Board Association for 7 or 8 years, where we set the platform at the Capitol, and a little bit of time on the Lino Lakes Economic Advisory Committee and the 2030 Vision Planning Committee about 10 years ago.
Thank you. Next, Jeff Reinert.
Hi. Hi, my name is Jeff Reinert, and I am currently mayor of Lino Lakes. I've been on the city council for 20 years, and before that I've been on various boards and committees. First 10 years I spent as a city council member learning the ropes, which I think you should do, is kind of move up slowly. Last 10 years I've been mayor of Lino Lakes. Moved to the community 1975, sounds like a long time ago, 44 years ago. Went to Centennial Junior High and high school, know a lot of people, their parents, their children, have a deep appreciation of this area and know it well. Married for 31 years to my wife Lisa. We raised 3 amazing daughters in this community. They're all graduated from college now and doing their own thing. Own my own business for the last 35 years. Currently own a biotech company called MinFarm, where we make recombinant proteins for medical research and therapeutic development. Thank you.
Then we'll go to the next question, and the first one to speak will be Craig Johnson. What are your qualifications for serving, and why are you seeking this office?
Well, first of all, this office needs somebody who understands how to work well with others. I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. My work as a personal advisor has shown that when you focus on the best interests of your clients, everybody succeeds. Also, during my time as Senate District Chair, there were times that differing opinions kind of get in the way. And sometimes it's some of the smallest things. When you agree on the most, it's the little things that get in the way. I was instrumental in having those involved look at the big picture versus focusing on being right at that exact moment. To me, public service isn't about political resumes. It's about providing crucial leadership at times when decisions are difficult, willingness to listen to alternative viewpoints even when you're the most confident, and being a critical thinker when decisions must be made.
Thank you. Next, Jeff Reinert.
Okay, so what are my qualifications? Well, for 20 years I've been making good common sense decisions based on what residents want and what's good for our area. That's why. But I'm also a bit of a budget hawk. First year that I was elected as mayor, we did an assessment on city services, and we looked at the amount of activity that was happening and the amount of resources we had. We had way too many resources for the amount of activity that we had. So we did some cuts, and we cut out of an $11 million budget $1.3 million. And those savings were felt year after year after year until some of the activity came back, and then we added the resources again. Over the last 10 years, we have had an average of less than 1% increase over that 10 years. And I dare any city in the Twin City metropolitan area to match that. The other reason why is I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. And people trust me, and I think that's why I've been elected 8 times in this city. Thank you.
Cindy Hansen.
I am running for Anoka County Commissioner. Oops, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to push the green button. Just leave them on now? Okay, thank you. I am running for Anoka County Commissioner because I believe in the board's mission of servicing citizens in a respectful, innovative, and fiscally responsible manner. I have actually delivered results and can further contribute to this mission. Being an elected official for Anoka County for 9 years has given me irreplaceable experience in negotiating, balancing budgets, prioritizing, being transparent, thinking outside of the box, but most importantly, listening to people and giving people a voice. I've worked successfully in a 2-county, 3-city joint power agreement for 9 years. I've also recognized for bringing in over $55 million of redevelopment to Anoka County. My fiscally responsible approach to growth has created jobs while maintaining a strong commitment to public safety.
Thank you. Karen Lodico.
Hi. I was very fortunate over the 12 years I was on the school board to work with a very collaborative board. We didn't always agree on stuff, but we respectfully disagreed when we did, and always kept the interest of our students, staff, and community first, not what our personal opinions were about everything. We had over 800 employees, 6,000 students, and a budget of almost $100 million at that time. I believe that experience going forward to the higher budget and the next level gives me a lot of qualification on how to work with different cities and different contracts and different negotiations and different patrons from all different walks of life. I'm excited for this opportunity to the next level.
Thank you. Next comes, let me follow my grid here. That, all of you have spoken that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Third question then, and this one you'll get 2 minutes on, and it is, what issue are you most passionate about, and what are your plans to address it? And the first to speak will be Jeff Reinert.
Okay, sure. So short-term goals, tax equity. A lot of people tell me in Anoka County that they don't feel like they're getting their bang for the buck for their tax dollars. And so what I would do, one of the first things I'd do is go in and kind of assess how much taxes are being collected from District 6 and the other districts as well, and make sure that people are getting their fair share. Another thing I would do is continue with investment in the IT upgrades and cybersecurity. There was a few problems with that a couple of years ago. So there is some more investment going into that, and it's a very important topic, and so I'd make sure that we're continuing with that. Reduce debt. So over the last 8 years, this is something that Anoka County has actually done very, very well on. They've had $190 million in debt 8 years ago, and they've reduced it over the last 8 years to be about $70 million, and I would make sure that we continue that path. Those are short-term goals. Long-term, I guess healthcare is something that I'm pretty passionate about. Over the last 10 years, healthcare costs have doubled and services have gone down. And in fact, in Anoka County this year, they're going to go up another 9%. Some years in Lino Lakes, we've seen 29% increases. And people don't pay much attention to that because, who's paying for that? You're all paying for that. And so there are alternative methods out there, alternative things that you can do for health care. There are some unions doing it. Twin City Pipe Trades decided that they're going to self-insure. And over the last 8 years, since they've implemented their self-insurance, they've seen 0% increase over that 8-year period. So there are alternative methods. People that say you just have to keep doing the same thing over and over again, stick with the status quo, are wrong. And that's one thing that I'm passionate about and would definitely spend a lot of time if elected. Thank you.
Next, Cindy Hansen.
Short term would be IT security. The county handles countless records of both staff and citizens that are privacy sensitive. If the security is breached, it would come at a great expense to Anoka County. As a former member of the Anoka County JLEC Governance Committee, I have experience in researching and implementing IT products and the applications needed to keep us secure. Along with that, I would love to see Linwood get internet, reliable internet up in Linwood. Also, I would like to connect the missing part of the Rice Creek North Regional Trail through Circle Pines. There's a piece of it missing. And long-term would be public safety. I know that the county board is currently working on doing a study on the Anoka County Jail. I strongly support our public safety system, and if it is discovered that the current jail is outdated and possibly unsafe, as your county commissioner, I will be dedicated to working on making responsible decisions regarding a solution.
Craig Johnson?
As far as short-term, currently the board has 6 commissioners, so first is bringing that 7th voice to the commission. The things focused on really are common sense budget. I think the board has done an excellent job over the last 10 plus years of focusing on that. I know the preliminary budget number, which I know can go down from the preliminary, is nearly 5%. And from my perspective, that's a little troubling, but certainly, as the board has done in the past, is to focus on focusing on needs versus wants. The roads and the infrastructure, a lot of it is about priorities. Currently in front, near us, is Birch. So they're talking about 12,000 cars a day that drive through there, and changes that are needed. We keep hearing about roundabouts and what we're going to do to make that. That's certainly something that would be focused on, and finding the right funding sources to make some of this happen. And an area that I think I'm very passionate about is economic development. It's crucial to us today, particularly when our population is aging and our workforce is shrinking. We now have the Minnesota Technology Corridor, which covers 3 communities within District 6. I think what I bring to the table is a marketing background, being involved, trying to get and sell the value of Anoka County, to make it where people want to live here, bring businesses here. Certainly that's going to benefit us in the long term. So ultimately, I want to make sure we make the right decisions, because if we fail, we take the residents with us, as well as seniors, vulnerable adults, and the disabled.
Thank you. Karen Lodico?
In the short term, my goal would be to step in and work with the current board and learn all the ins and the outs of the budget and where the money is going. It's easy after you've been somewhere for 12 years to know all the short-term, long-term goals, where the budget, where everything's spread. When you're on the outside, you really don't know all of that. So in the short term, my goal would be to just work. And this is just a partial term. So whoever is in this position, you could learn all that and then have to run again. So that's going to be a lot of work during the very first year that whoever gets into this position, hopefully me. In the long term, a lot of my plight in the communities that I've worked with in the past, the 5 communities, has been property tax disparity. And my goal and objective would be to promote business growth so that we can help offset that high property tax, residential property tax. Some of our cities do more of that, some of our cities do less of that. But I'd like to see the community grow and have the businesses grow with it. Along with that, of course, is the responsibility of the infrastructure that comes along with it, and making sure that roads and everything are taken care of. First and foremost, safety and security for our county. I will always support the police in keeping it a safe, secure county so people want to live here and we don't have a lot of crime. Back to the business growth, the tech corridor on the eastern edge has a lot of promising opportunities for our future going forward, and I would be very, very supportive of that.
Thank you. Then we now turn to the audience questions, and please keep sending them in. Send the cards up, write new ones as you think of it. And this question goes to Karen Lodico first. How would you plan to stay in touch with constituents? And it's 1 minute.
There are many ways to be transparent and stay in touch with constituents. One of it is obviously going to be as a board through your local media and stuff that you put out there. as an individual, it's basically talking to people at the courthouse that work there. I've already had a lot of people come up and tell me what their issues and problems are about pay and health insurance and all kinds of other things. We have so many resources with social media right now to reach out and ask questions and get ideas and listen to that and bring that back to the board. Specifically, I mean, there are just so many avenues, but transparency is definitely an important issue.
Thank you. Craig Johnson.
Thank you. First of all, what I've been doing in the community right now is reaching out. I've walked into some businesses just to introduce myself. I want to know what's happening, what's the pulse of what's going on in the county. I think the important thing is asking questions, even the tough questions. You may get an answer that might have you take a step back. But in this position, you have to be prepared for anything. What is it that's affecting your business? What's affecting you personally? You know, what is it that we really need to do to make changes? Until we know what's happening in our corridor of 7 commissioners, we're not going to get anything accomplished unless we reach out. So I will continue to do as I've always done, whether it's in my business, whether as Senate District Chair, or as Commissioner. What's happening out there? What do we need to work on?
Thank you. Jeff Reinert.
Yeah, sure. I'd probably continue to do a lot of things that I have been doing for the last 20 years. Of course, you know, in the last 20 years too, we've had advent of social media, and so that's really helped. But, you know, first thing, you know, do your job. In the last 10 years I've been mayor, I have not missed a meeting. That's important. I do have a social media page and keep up on that and let people know what's going on. It's important to respond to all inquiries. I'm constantly, you know, being contacted by email or phone messages left up here at City Hall, and we respond to all of them. Those that need a personal visit, I'll do a personal visit. Sometimes when there's the larger topics, then what you do is you, and you have battling sides, basically just form a meeting, have everybody come up at City Hall, get the correct staff in the room, and solve the problem. And up and above that, I'm just always available, have been, and know the area, and so people know me. They know where to find me. Thanks.
Cindy Hansen.
There's always an open invitation, and as a former mayor, I know I don't just represent the people who vote for me. I would represent the whole district. I would have an open door policy. I would love to have like coffee with the commissioner once a month. I would continue to attend the city meetings that I have been, while I've been campaigning, I have been attending board meetings, workshops throughout the district, and I would continue that because I would want to keep in touch with the community leaders who are in touch with their residents.
Thank you. And we'll turn to the next question, if everyone's answered. And we'll start with Cindy Hansen. Election security has been a national topic. What do you believe is needed to access the state of elections in Anoka County, and what are areas of concern?
Well, like I had stated before, IT security is essential, and I would want to leave that to the experts. That's outside my realm.
Thank you. Jeff Reinert.
Well, here's a simple solution. How about voter IDs? So when you go vote, you actually show your ID, match it up with the voter registry, and then you know whether or not that person that's voting is actually the person that should be voting. That seems like a very simple solution that for some odd reason people are fighting. As far as getting into the cybersecurity and some of the other things that may be happening, I guess I'd defer to the people that are working with that. I have not worked with that, don't have any experience about that. But that's the way I am though too. If I don't know something, I will tell you. But yeah, how about voter ID? That might just correct some problems. Thanks.
Craig Johnson.
As far as the IT infrastructure. I did speak with the attorney for the county, and one of the conversation pieces was, imagine this, millions of hits a day trying to get the information that's in the county. So that information, making sure that we have the infrastructure built there is incredibly important. Without that, more and more of our information is going to be out there. And so I think that's going to be a crucial part, and make sure that we're involved. The other is, voter integrity is important. I'm not sure either side has really hit it hard, other than I think voter ID is definitely important. We need to know who's voting. It's crucial for integrity's sake that we have the right system to do it, even if it's controversial. Because I think, one vote, one person, getting an ID to me is not good, should not be the issue.
Thank you. And Karen Lodico.
Boy, that question's been pretty thoroughly answered.
You can say just ditto.
The cybersecurity piece, I mean, we're all such risk. School districts are, every time you go and, into your doctor's office and they get all your information, we're definitely a risk. And again, I'm no expert in that. For sure it's something that we need to protect. And I'm sure there are people working on that piece of it. I also agree that we should have voter ID. It's insane to me that somebody who nobody knows who is could walk in and vote 5 different places because they don't need ID. I don't really understand that. So I would be supportive of that as well.
Thank you. And we go to the next question, and that will start with Jeff Reinert. Roads are always an issue. What experience do you have to make sure the roads in our district get attention?
Actually, I have a lot of experience in this area. 20 years ago when I was elected, we were putting about $90,000 a year into roads, and we got some state aid, somewhere around $140,000, I think. So, south of $250,000 we were spending on road repairs, reconstruction, and maintenance in the city of Lino Lakes. Around 2004, I think it was, maybe about 4 years in, seeing that was a problem, we did an assessment of all the roads, an inventory of all 99 miles that we had of roads at the time, the condition they were, how old they were, when they were going to be needing repairs or maintenance, and then the cost of that. And based on that, then we were able to put together what we called a pavement management plan in the city of Lino Lakes, and so that we would be able to know exactly how much to spend to keep up with roads. At the time, we were spending $90,000. We found out that it was $400,000 that we needed to spend. Since then, we've been adding to that, and where we were spending less than $250,000 back then, we're spending $1.5 million a year right now. So that's 6 times more than we were back then, and we are keeping up with roads. And we did that, by the way, without raising the budget too much, because we keep the budget under control.
Thank you.
I could talk more on that one.
Craig Hansen.
Craig Johnson.
Craig Johnson.
Didn't think I got married in that short
No.
time.
Right there. Sorry.
Experience does matter when it comes to this. I will say that a couple other candidates up here have more experience directly with the budgets on that, but from my perspective and what I've learned in being involved in Anoka County meetings and the committees is, one, it's depending on the engineers, the planning. Anoka County has a fantastic department relative to that. The key to it is planning, being out in the community, figuring out the priorities. I know it's going to shift, but it's understanding, what the quality is in our roads in certain areas. Obviously, the safety factor in that. I think it's something that you can get up to speed fairly quickly on, at least from the beginning standpoint, but certainly having the experienced engineers and the departments there really does make it a lot easier for a commissioner to help make those decisions.
Karen Lodico.
It's amazing to me that within the county, the disparity between the cities and the city roads and the county roads and how they're all cared for. Some are cared for very well and some aren't. When I drive to work every day, there are parts in Anoka County that the roads are so bad. I just wonder why this isn't done. I am not an expert in roads. I did live in Lino Lakes for a long time and was very well aware of some of the issues and couldn't be happier that finally got into a budget and was resolved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I live in Circle Pines and we have a very good plan. I'm not directly a part of that. My time and priority was spent on other things. There's only so much of me to go around when you're involved in an elected position. So I'd love to get involved and learn more about it, but I can't answer directly as an expert on that question.
Okay. Cindy Hansen.
As the mayor of Anoka County City, I also worked intensely with a pavement management plan, and I would want to find out what this board's plan is, work with that, do my research, ask the questions, and start there. I know I've talked to many people, especially recently, who are very upset with the condition of the roads. There are people who have small businesses, and depending on what road work is being done or the condition of the roads, a lot of times time is being spent, too much time is being spent for his employees to get from point A to point B.
Thank you. And the next question now goes to Cindy Hansen first. And according to this questioner, public transportation in Anoka County is dismal. What will you do to link our communities to the downtowns of Minneapolis and St. Paul and within Anoka County? For example, the Roseville Circulator.
Well, again, I would want to work with the existing board, with the Transportation Committee, and do research, see if there's a study that they've already started with. I would start with doing the research first and listening to what the residents want, maybe have some meetings to see what areas the transportation is really lacking in. Thank you.
Craig Johnson.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure when they talk about transportation, is it specifically the roads? Are we talking about some transit? Is it the busing, that type of thing? So without knowing exactly what they're looking for in that question, you know, I know some of the things that they've tried to do is, and this isn't popular with everybody in this room, is the lanes that allow, you know, 2 or more drivers during rush hour. That's already in place. It's not again popular with a lot of people. I can't see rapid transit being an option there, but I think at this current time, as other candidate had mentioned, I think being able to talk about the transportation, understanding exactly what is down the road without being actively involved at this point would be my goal, and listening closely to find out what we could do to make it more tolerable to some of these people that have an issue with it.
Thank you. Jeff Reinert.
Okay, yeah, so the question is public transportation. You know, you have to understand that out in our area, we are 3rd and 4th and 5th ring suburbs to the Twin City metropolitan area. So with a lot of the public transportation that might be available a little closer in, out here it's not to that point yet. But we do have park and rides. You know, park and rides are used. You know, people park and then, you know, carpool, and that seems to work for our area. Not so sure it's time to bring a bunch of buses up here. You know, White Bear Lake, there's a lot of activity with that in White Bear Lake right now, and a lot of angry people about it. Min Pass, as Craig mentioned, you know, this is one of the dumber ideas that the state's done. I don't know if they were trying to become Chicago or not, build a lane and then don't let anybody ride in it at the time when you need to, between 3 and 7. It's one of the dumbest ideas I've ever seen. But for public transportation, yeah, park and ride is working for our area right now, and as the area grows, I'm sure we'll get into some of the other choices. Thanks.
Karen Lodico.
I do agree that public transportation is kind of dismal in the area, but we've done a great job downtown, and finding that balance. You know, a lot of people have a hard time getting around if they don't have a vehicle or don't have insurance or disabled. But it's a balance of budget. You need to make sure that the need is there. It costs a lot to put in a light rail or to add bus lines. And again, somebody is paying for that. And if there are 3 people on a bus to get from one part of the county to the other, it's a cost analysis and a need. So that's something that the whole community would need to pipe in on and establish that there's definitely a need so that it would fund and that would make sense in the budget.
Thank you. And we'll go to the next question, and Craig Johnson will begin. Most counties and cities allow some citizen input. Anoka County does not. What would you favor allowing citizen input?
It's kind of vague from the perspective of in what capacity. There are some things that could open up a little bit more as far as I know during board meetings I've heard that there's no input during board meetings. As far as others, I know I've been to some meetings and I was asked why I was there and what I was looking to accomplish, or do I have anything for the commission to do. So without really knowing, again, specifics, that's really a tough question to answer, but I'm all for transparency. I mean, I'm all for taking input. It's important that we understand what's happening and who's there, because maybe it's a far corner of our district and somebody has an issue that hasn't been brought up. But again, transparency to me is an important aspect if we're really to be truly public servants.
Thank you. Karen Lodico.
I'm going to make an assumption that that question is about the lack of public forum at the Anoka County meetings. Sunshine laws, they're open meetings, anyone can attend, that's the law. You know, if you're not a threat, you're allowed to be at the meeting. With 12 years on the school board, we did have a public forum. You had to sign in, you had to put your address, you had to write what you were speaking about. Sometimes when there was a controversial issue, 300 people would show up and we had to move to the PAC. And we had rules about the time of how long you could speak and that not everybody could speak to the same thing. I believe that that has a place, but there have to be rules that are followed. And that does not necessarily mean if somebody wants to say something that they're going to get an immediate answer. But I think it's very respectful for a board to take that into consideration and address it. As a citizen, we should have that right.
Thank you. Cindy Hansen.
Yes, I am a huge supporter of transparency, and as a former mayor, we always had a public forum at the beginning of our meetings, but it does have to have rules, so I really don't know what they're asking, but that's what I'm used to, is having the public input at the beginning of a meeting with rules and time limits. And they have to be conducted in a very respectful manner.
Jeff Reinert.
Yeah, so citizen input, you're saying that Anoka County doesn't have any, but you know, they do have public hearings on certain topics, certain actions that are happening, so you know, they do have public input for that, or at least opportunity for it. Then there's other kinds of public input where, you know, what the county board tried to do with Chamonix Golf Course, and public input happened then because a lot of people from Lino Lakes marched over to Anoka and were heard. As far as me and being on the county board, you know, I currently do a guest column quarterly in the Quad Press. I imagine that I would probably pick up other newspapers to also write into, I guess, talk about what's going on, give a little bit more publicity to the actions that the board is taking. I think maybe why the public isn't that engaged with the Anoka County board is because maybe a lot of people don't know what they do and what it's all about. A lot of people have asked me, now what is that? So I think it's just education and reaching out and just being a little bit more public about what you're doing and asking for input. Thank you.
Next question goes first to Cindy Hansen. If elected in February, which one or two county committees will you ask to be on?
That would depend on, since this is such a short term from February to December only, I would ask that the board put me on committees where I can do the most good in that short period of time and to really learn about those positions. This is a very unique opportunity since it is only from February until December, and then we'll be running again.
Craig Johnson.
Well, first of all, from the last forum, we were asked if we'd be on the tax committee, so I'll just make a correction there. Everybody's on the tax committee involved in that. I think that, again, going back to some of my strengths as far as on the economic development, jumping on that, giving my feedback on that. Some of it would also be, kind of finding where the opportunities. Rhonda, I know that the commissioners have picked up her responsibilities. Some of the areas that I would certainly like to get involved in is looking at some of the social services, health services area. I know there's some groups and charities and that involved, and I'd certainly like to see what I can do there. And as Cindy had mentioned, that it's a short period on the first one, so really what I can do might be limited, but whatever I can help the most on, I'm willing to do it.
Thank you. Jeff Reinert.
Yeah, so a lot of my answers, you may notice, have to do with finance and budgets and taxes and controlling that. It's one of the main things that we're sent to do, and that's to watch over the dollars, the tax dollars that we're all paying, taxation with representation. And so I would, there's many different committees, and then anything having to do really with finance or budget is fine with me, because I think I'd be suited in there. A lot of times when I'm, like the Anoka County Fire Protection Council, which I've been serving on for the last 4 years, I'm the only elected official in Anoka County that was asked to be on the finance committee there, so it seems to be my niche. And so, that's probably the ones that I would ask to be on, because I think I could be most effective there, short-term or long-term, as far as how long the term is. Thanks.
Thank you. Karen Lodico.
It's an interesting question because each of the committees has different levels of experience. I feel like it's important to have somebody who brings that experience and the past knowledge, and then also have somebody with new ideas. So it's kind of hard to say, I want to be on that committee because they may need me on this committee. And there's so many different areas that any one of us would bring expertise to certain things, like railroad transportation. I don't know anything about that. I would be poorly represented on that committee until I learn more about it. Safety and security, fantastic. I've worked with 5 of our cities and the police on all kinds of things with safety and security. Tax, we all have an interest in the taxation committee. So there's really a lot to learn about where the need is and where we fit in with the current board.
Thank you. This next question goes first to Jeff Reinert. Being a county commissioner pays over $70,000 a year. Some commissioners still maintain other jobs or run companies. Do you think you will be a full-time commissioner? And if not, how do you see balancing being a commissioner and doing your other job?
Yeah, great question. Actually, I've been asked that and kind of jabbed a little bit about the amount that Anoka County Commissioner does make. I didn't set that amount. Didn't need to be that amount for me, but because it's more, doing it, for service. But anyway, so my answer to that is all the time, well, I'll tell you what, if the job pays $70,000 a year, you better give that job to somebody that knows what to do with it, and you get your bang for the buck out of that $70,000. How am I going to balance that? Well, I own my own company. It's a biotech company, and I'm not the guy in the lab. I manage the company. I have a lot of PhDs that work for me, and we have various meetings where I'm managing the group throughout the week. With the meetings that take place in Anoka County, I will reschedule my schedule to be able to make it to every single one of those meetings, because that's what I do. If I'm going to take this job, I'm going to do it right. So it won't be a big problem for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Cindy Hansen.
Yes, I would be a full-time commissioner, and I can tell you, as the mayor of an Anoka County community, there was only one meeting that I missed, and it was on my husband's birthday. So in 9 years, I attended every meeting, every workshop. It's a commitment that you make, and I think you should make it.
Thank you. Karen Lodico.
Yes, I would consider this a priority. I have a very flexible schedule, and people ask to, like when you're on the school board, they would say, what does that mean? Do you have like 2 meetings a month? And I'm like, well, we have 2 meetings, 2 workshops, 20 negotiation sessions, alternative compensation sessions. It takes a lot of time, and that's a very part-time. So this would be a top priority. Citizens elect you to represent them, and they want you to be there. You need to listen, and not just be at the meetings that you're required to, but other meetings in the community, city council meetings, workshops, League of Voter meetings. So I would take this as a top priority. I would be very proud to represent these citizens, and my other work on the site is very flexible.
Thank you. Craig Johnson.
Well, first of all, it is a full-time job. Full-time hours will vary based on what's happening in District 6 versus other areas. I would be able to make all the meetings. I will have another job as a risk advisor. In fact, I made the change prior to running for office to make sure that I had the flexibility to do it, that I could put the meetings in my schedule and work around it. As somebody who can work weekends, also evenings, but my priority will be as the county commissioner. But my job as a risk advisor will certainly be also part of it. And so really, realistically, to me, again, it's going to be a full-time effort. So I have no issues with that.
Thank you. Next question begins with Craig Johnson. The preliminary property tax is 4.97%. The minimum increase would be 4.38. Would you support the preliminary increase, or would you be trying to eliminate or reduce some more items and try to move even closer to the 4.38?
Well, it's a good question. I already mentioned that close to 5% was the preliminary. As a budget hawk, I would focus on making sure that we look at wants and needs, focusing on what's important. I know these are preliminary numbers that the departments are taking a look at. I think it's going to be incredibly important to make sure we take a look, make sure we're living within our means, just like we do in our households. So my focus would definitely be moving it in the direction 4.38, but I say, why stop there if we can provide the services that people need, but also find the opportunities to be more efficient and creative and make sure that we're doing what's best for the residents as far as taxes.
Thank you. Jeff Reinert.
Yeah, so I've been working with budgets my entire life, in business for 35 years and government for 20 years. And so I'm very attuned to handling budgets and working with budgets and making them come out right. This year in Lino Lakes, staff came to us and requested an 8.5% increase in the budget. They wanted to levy 13%. It's not going to end up that way. What we handed into the county at the end of September was, I think it was a 1.9% increase. And so what we do is we just drill down and find out exactly what we need and what we don't need. And we've been doing that for 20 years up at City Hall. And so that's how we keep things down, and yet we can still find the amount of dollars to provide the level of services necessary. And so, I'm not familiar if the right amount of drilling down has been done at the county. I haven't been part of that process, but when I get to the Anoka County, I have some tricks in my bag for how to keep the budget down and still deliver services.
Karen Lodico.
Well, obviously, nobody wants to pay more taxes, but it's a fact of life. My dad always said, you have to do two things in life, pay taxes and die. After 12 years of working with Centennial, we are very familiar with cutting the budget, getting leaner. But we all have to live within our means. We legally have to maintain a balanced budget. Where exactly those two numbers lie until I get into the position and see all the different intricacies of the budget and where it's spent and where you can cut, I can't really say that I would support one or the other, except of course I would want it to be lower. Everybody wants to have lower taxes, but everybody wants to have great benefits too, and nice roads and police and all that. But this is property taxes. It goes to all different places. Then also each city has to weigh in on what their taxes are too, so it's not just one thing. All of our citizens are affected differently, so I'm always going to opt for the lower amount when possible.
Cindy Hansen.
No one ever wants to increase taxes, but we don't want to reduce our services either. What I would love to have is a resident forum. So taxes could be explained to the residents. I think residents are so confused. I saw this as I was mayor. They come in with their tax statement and it has school tax, county tax, city tax, special assessments. And of course, the one that they blame is the local city right away because that's who they're coming in to see. And then as they're explained, well, the city tax was only this portion. That is the school tax, the county tax, and also I think what people don't understand is these percentages can be played with, and even though you have a low levy, if your property taxes jump sky high, then your taxes will increase.
Thank you. And now for an easier one. Starts with Cindy Hansen.
Oh, good.
Have
Easy.
you ever attended an Anoka County board meeting in person?
Actually, I have not, but I do with Great North Metro. I watch them. And what I love is I can watch it, if I get interrupted or whatever, then I can watch it again and again. Or if I want to see something else, or if I feel I missed something, I'm able to watch it again.
Thank you. Jeff Reinert?
Yes.
Okay. Karen Lodico?
Yes, I made it a point after I filed to go and introduce myself to the current commissioners and attend a board meeting so they knew who I was and who they were dealing with and just put a face to the things that were coming out there.
Craig Johnson?
That'd be me. Yes, I have. I just recently attended one and happened to be when they were giving out awards for safety. A child was in the process of drowning, and with fantastic response, the workers at the pool were able to save the child. So it was a very emotional meeting as well.
That's everyone. Okay. This first one goes to Karen Lodico. Do you identify as a Republican or Democrat? And have you accepted endorsement or campaign help from any partisan individual or group?
I have not taken any campaign money from either group. I am an issues person. I don't identify specifically with one party directly or the other. A lot of my political career, if you will, was working on the school board, and there is no room for bipartisanship in that role. You have to think about all of your community together and everybody equally. It's a tough thing when I go to vote because I side with different things on either side.
Jeff Reinert?
So the position is nonpartisan. I'm a conservative, believe in individual liberty and economic freedom. But if you're asking how I vote, I would say primarily Republican.
Cindy Hansen?
Well, this is a nonpartisan position. I have not taken money from either party, but as the mayor of Spring Lake Park, I can tell you that I worked very, very hard bringing both parties together, because that also was a nonpartisan position. I was well known for doing that with people who said, I will never listen to this party or that party, and we came together. And I'm very, very proud of how I was able to work with both parties.
So is that everyone?
Craig.
Okay, Craig Johnson.
I am also conservative. My values from being a military brat is really kind of driven me in that direction. I did serve as the Senate District Chair for the Senate District 38 Republicans. I have taken money from both sides to run. In this, it's virtually impossible not to take some money and totally fund it. So I have received money from both sides.
Thank you. All right, this next question is going to go first to Cindy Hansen. Based on old numbers, poverty rates for children under 18 in Anoka County range from 1% to 35.5% depending on the community. What steps do you believe the county can take to bring improvement to this issue?
Could you please repeat that?
Okay. Based on old numbers, poverty rates for children under 18 in Anoka County range from 1% to 35.5% depending on the community. What steps do you believe the county can take to bring improvement to this issue?
Well, I know there are groups out there that work like Second Harvest Heartland, having food shelves more accessible. We have done that. I know I would like to see that continue. Also, I'm very, very proud of being able to say that I worked with someone who has a school that is for homeless children. I worked with her from the ground level. It's a success. And to see those kids succeed, it is amazing. And to see what can happen when they know that someone cares about them, when they have a roof over their head and food in their belly.
Thank you. Jeff Reinert.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to see the definition of how they're determining the poverty, to get a little bit more information on that, but 1 to 35%, that's quite a difference. A lot of, this is why it's important who's in office. A lot of, I guess the result, because this is a result of policy, is, and how community development is handled in each of the cities. Certainly there's a lot of state programs and federal programs that are going to be accessible to, people in need. And at the county level, there are, different outreach things that they do. There's nonprofits that help out. So because there's poverty of 1% or 35%, I guess if there's programs that are working, we should support them and I guess do an assessment how well they're working. If they need to be increased in funding or more support from as far as human resources, then do that. But it's a pretty complicated topic from a lot of different areas, obviously. And there's a city level, county level, state level, federal level, and just make sure that the right amount of resources and help is there. Thanks.
Thank you. Craig Johnson.
Well, first of all, we need to be preemptive. We have to look to the future first. And see, I've been to a couple festivals and of local communities where they had just making sure the preteens were being tested. I think education's an important part in looking at the future. But for the current families, working with the social services, The county's a regional hub for the state, federal. So really working on getting the services that these people need, whether it's a food shelf, whether it's like the bridging that I worked with, it's the furniture. It's just important that we really determine whether it's 1 or percentage or even higher. We have to focus on everybody in our community. So it'd be a very important thing for me to get involved, whether it's the Alexandra House or other nonprofit.
Karen Lodico.
Given that the poverty population that we're talking about is 18 and under, a lot of the burden of this, the brunt of the burden comes upon school districts. When I moved here in '98, we were a pretty blatant vanilla population. In the last 20 years, our demographics and our populations changed drastically. We have students in schools that are English as second learners now. We have parent-teacher organizations that are spending their money to help homeless kids bring kids to school in a cab. There's so much out there that general population doesn't even realize. And the county and the school districts do work together in this, and they need to continue to. There is a lot of support of the county. A big part of the budget is social services. But it's not something that the county can solve alone. This is definitely something that the school district and the county have to work on together, such as the Pine School, which is used to be run by the county, and now Centennial School District runs it. There's a perfect example of a coordination between the school district and the county.
Thank you. Next question goes first to Karen Lodico. Would you support anti-corruption legislation like making political contributions publicly visible and or pro-democratic legislation like ranked choice voting?
Can you read that one more time, please? There are kind of two questions there.
Yes, it is. Would you
Maybe we could just
support
separate that into two questions, please.
Would you support anti-corruption legislation like making political contributions publicly visible
Absolutely.
and or pro-democratic legislation like ranked choice voting?
I'm not sure what that is. Grant choice voting?
Ranked
Ranked choice voting.
So for multiple care.
St. Paul has that.
I guess I really don't know that much about it. It doesn't sound like a great idea to me, but I don't know that much about it. Just being honest.
League of Women Voters may inform you. Craig Johnson. You can have both together or separate.
I'll separate them.
Okay, would you support anti-corruption?
Well, absolutely. I think right now with campaign finance, we are publicly putting it out there. So I'm all for that. We need to know where it's coming from so that we know that if somebody's behind a specific candidate, that needs to be transparent. On the second part, ranked choice, I can't get behind it. To me, it's like your second or third choice is going to become a candidate. I'm willing to dig in. I'm willing to listen. But from my perspective, I can't imagine, that my second or third choice is going to go. And I want one vote, and I certainly want to make sure that candidate's getting it.
Jeff Reinert.
Anti-corruption. Well, how can you not support that? So I guess the answer is yes there. Ranked choice voting, I think is a dumb idea, so no.
Craig Hansen. Cindy Hansen. Did that again.
Yes and no. How's that?
Okay, good. We'll go to the next question. Goes first to Jeff Reinert. What are your plans to enhance business growth and thus tax increase for important county investments in Anoka County?
This one is an interesting question, because economic development is a lot of times driven from the city level, really, with the different zoning that cities do and ordinances that they put in place and programs they have to attract business. So from the county level, though, it's about infrastructure, making sure that the roads and the different infrastructures that county offers are healthy, and so that when the city does all the work to attract some economic development, that they're not turned away because the county's not stepping up and doing what they should. So, yeah, I think we just need to make sure that we're supporting the infrastructure, and I think that would help. Another thing that goes back to the tax equity thing I talked about in my opening comments, to make sure that the right amount of dollars or right amount of resources are coming back to our area, District 6, that are being paid in tax dollars.
Craig Hansen. Craig,
How about Cindy Johnson?
Maybe we should have ranked choice, right?
I have to change my card and my name and my signs. But as far as economic development, yes, I mean, it's high on a priority list. You know, again, with the Minnesota Technology Corridor leading the way. I mean, we have some premier sites that will bring in businesses. Obviously, then the infrastructure is important, the roads. We have to attract people and certainly keep them in our communities. And as Jeff said, it's really working with the individual communities as well. We need to know what they need. We need to work with them. Every community does things a little different. You look at Lexington and how that 1 square mile block city and how things are changing for them. We have to be in tune, and we have to understand what each of our communities needs and support them in that manner.
Cindy Hansen.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? All of the name changes
I
here.
can understand why. What are your plans to enhance business growth and thus tax increase for important county investments in Anoka County?
Okay, well, I am a strong advocate for small businesses and business growth. I have experience in creating TIF districts, rezoning to help assist a small business grow, and I even have experience working with a business where we deferred part of their sack and whack fees so that they were able to succeed. I would work really, really hard to make sure businesses thrived in Anoka County. I think it is so important for the tax base to have that diversity.
Thank you. Karen Lodico.
I'm a huge supporter of business growth and prosperity. Again, we've talked about the tech corridor for a while over on the eastern part of the county, but also, like Jeff said, it is important that the county and the cities work together, because the city budgets are different, the city demographics are different, and even that the cities work with each other on a lot of projects. So definitely supportive, but in a responsible manner, so that as we grow, we take care of everything in the budget, not just, you know, a business, the roads and everything else.
Thank you. Next question goes first to Karen Lodico. How would you address helping families with children with disabilities?
Oh, that's a great question for me. So on the Centennial School District, you get to a situation where there are so many disabilities, and sometimes each individual school district can't handle it on their own. You have a higher level need. And so then you go to intermediate district. 916, and I served on that school board for 8 years. So what happens, you have a conglomeration of 12 districts. Say you have a child who's deaf and blind, and you can't have one teacher, but between 12 districts, you pool your needs for higher level EBD, higher level autism, higher level special needs, and then you service the higher level. And in that district also, we built schools. That Carter Blue over here was placed in our area so the people in this area that had special needs kids would be able to come here. There's some on the other end, there's some on the south end. So some of these things are already in place with the school districts, and I'm a huge supporter. Also, I have a special needs nephew, and Parents with special needs know where to go, or hopefully they do, or they go to their school's district and get that information. There are a lot of resources out there.
Craig Johnson.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I don't have to be the smartest man in the room. I've got her sitting next to me in this case.
I'm not a man.
Woman. But, you know, realistically, I don't have the experience level in that, but really having, you know, experts within the county to kind of go through that, to think about what are the most important things. You know, with District 916, there's another candidate in a different race that works within that district. We had a nice conversation about that. The difficulties of working with children with disabilities at different levels. And so it's important we do treat them in manners that are to what their disability is. So again, not being the smartest man in the room on that part of it, I want to make sure that we reach out and find that smartest person to make sure that we work closely on that.
Jeff Reinert.
Yeah, so, you know, my experiences from the city level and personal or private business, families with disabilities, I'm going to take what's been said, and the school districts are covering that topic a lot. You know, I think from the county level, it's probably more of a support role. And, you know, from as small as putting up, you know, deaf child signs on county roads and such. But there's, yeah, nonprofits, and then healthcare. You know, it's a topic that I talked about earlier. It's a cost that's going up and skyrocketing, and services are going down. And so a lot of the needs of these families with disabilities are you know, paid for with healthcare dollars. And if your healthcare isn't good, and if you can't afford it, then you're not getting the help you need. So, you know, like I said before, it's one of the things that I'm passionate about and would definitely spend a lot of time on, is addressing the healthcare needs of the county. 2,000 employees. Definitely would spend a lot of time on that and make sure that they have the right programs. Thanks.
Cindy Hansen.
Working in a school district, I know how hard it is for the schools because of all the federal mandates that are placed on them without the funding coming. It puts a horrendous burden on the school districts. I did just speak to a mom with a special needs child and was able to get her a sign for her street. And we were discussing if it would be a possibility for the county to have in their library system a special event once a month or once every couple of months for children with specific certain needs, so that they could be together to be with children that are like them. And when she talked, tears were in her eyes, and she said, and it's not just for the kids. She says, because it's for the parents. So I don't have to explain to other parents why my child is acting this way, because those parents would understand.
Thank you. Next question goes first to Cindy Hansen. Do you support reestablishing prevailing wage in the county?
Yes.
Jeff Reinert.
Yes.
Craig Johnson.
Yes, with some discussion.
You have a minute. You may.
As we look at that, you know, prevailing wage is paying for what the prevailing wage in that county is. And, you know, looking at the numbers, how close we are relative to that, currently what is the inequities, if there are, in the county, let's take a look at it and see how big of an issue it is. Is it just a yes versus a no? Well, no, maybe it's not quite that easy. So I certainly would want to discuss it, but I would lean towards yes in fairness.
Karen Lodico.
I would support prevailing wage. At the school district, we did that on all of our construction projects, and we wanted to hire companies with a prevailing wage because we wanted safe companies, we wanted safe work environment, we wanted projects that we knew were well done. I have no idea what the current situation, why prevailing wage went away, what the budget conversation was, when that happened. So that's all stuff that somebody new coming in the board really needs to know and understand.
Anyone want to finish your minute?
No, I think just to be competitive,
All right,
I think you need to, so.
we'll go to the next question. And the first one to be answer is Jeff Reinert. What experience do you have working with other cities in this district?
Well, actually, a lot of things are, so specifically, with the fire department we have agreements with other cities, so that mutual aid, and so that, you know, a lot of times Centerville needs help, you know, because their presence is small, and so we help out there. I guess, you know, we should be working more with, you know, cities like Centerville and Lino Lakes. We don't. But when opportunities come up, we do collaborate and work together. Yeah, I guess I wish I wasn't first on this one, but yeah, we've over the last 20 years we've worked on a lot of different initiatives. I guess I'm not answering this one very good, but
Cindy Hansen.
Yes, I have 9 years' experience working with mutual aid, especially through the Anoka County Joint Law Enforcement Council and the Fire Department Council, working with mutual aid.
Karen Lodico.
I have about 12 years of experience working with 5 different cities: Centerville, Lino Lakes, Circle Pines, Lexington, and parts of Blaine on all kinds of different projects. Some of it was working with the police on safety and security measures. Say there was an epidemic outbreak, how we're going to bring all these cities together, and are we going to close down the high school, and that's where we're going to quarantine people. People have no idea of some of the different things that go on between cities and school districts. Busing roads that you have to go through and how that affects the traffic in the area with each of the schools. Joint agreements where you share field space with the cities for different sports between the city and the school district. There's so much space there. There are a multitude of things you have to work with the city when you're getting permits or expanding parking lots or anything like that. Sometimes it's a very helpful situation. Sometimes it's a little bit delicate because not everybody is happy about what the school district wants to do. But there have been many years of working with all 5 of those cities, different capacities.
Craig Johnson.
My experience is really limited to being involved, you know, locally in Lino Lakes, other than going to a few meetings, introducing myself, understanding that. So the important thing, I think, with a commissioner, whether it be the 7 communities that I'd be working with in District 6, is to truly understand and try to work together. Again, there's going to be some differences that will come about, but every city's got a unique nature to it, whether it be Lexington or whether it be Blaine. There's 2 cities that are uniquely different. So the importance is understanding, being able to work with them, and certainly being input and also a listener.
Karen Lodico.
I already answered that.
Okay,
Again.
I'm on the wrong question then. Okay, it's a new question now.
Okay, good.
And it starts with Craig Johnson. How would you anticipate coordinating services with other agencies like the state, Met Council, cities, and other counties?
Okay, you got it. As far as the Met Council, obviously, they're a regional operation that we work with. So there, it's a matter of understanding what the responsibilities are. There are some funding that they offer as well, so certainly work with them to make sure that we're getting every dollar that we can to help our county. And really, it's understanding the support levels that they can provide and funding. So I would reach out to any of those in situations. Every situation is unique. I know with the roads, depending on the situation, we can figure out what kind of funding mechanism we can get for that. Some of that we count on the county engineers to provide that. But again, I think focusing on knowing what's available and what we can get from each of the organizations and what we can do will make the difference.
Thank you. Karen Lodico.
I believe that there are probably a lot of pathways and relationships already established with the Anoka County and, just call it again, we've got a brain fart right here, the Met Council. So it's not something I can go in and say, I'm gonna go in and change this or do that. It's one of those things where you go in and learn what those are and what's already being utilized and how I can enhance that and support it.
Thank you. Cindy Hansen.
I have a great example of this. In Spring Lake Park, there's a new Hy-Vee grocery store. When it was first being developed, MnDOT gave the green light, everything was wonderful. Hy-Vee went ahead with their plans, and then MnDOT changed their mind about something, and it came to a screeching halt. It took a lot of patience, time, working with people, listening to people. We came to the table. I expressed to MnDOT how vitally important this development was for that area. We were able to come to a conclusion, and I'm happy to report that Hy-Vee has the green light again from MnDOT.
Thank you. Jeff Reinert.
Yeah, so the Met Council, I think, would be, you could probably work with them a little bit easier, if they had a different governance. I sense, there is a bit of arrogance with the way that the governance is set up. There's about 50 different cities, city areas that have this kind of organization, a group that is in charge of sewer and water. I call the Met Council, since they're in charge of sewer and water, the number one entity in charge of number two. But our Met Council is the only one out of those 50 entities there's not one person on the Met Council that is an elected position. All the other ones in the country all have elected positions, and if you have elected people on the Met Council, then they answer to somebody. These people answer to no one. They're all appointed by the governor and totally partisan. Their budget is over $1 billion, and so $1 billion of our tax dollars are being spent by non-elected people. Talk about taxation without representation. So I guess my time's up, but yeah, you could work with work a lot better with them if they were actually elected.
Thank you. Next question. First one goes to Cindy Hansen. In 2013, the county eliminated the wheelage tax. Would you be in support of reinstating this tax?
So I go
Cindy.
first? Okay, I go
Yes.
first. I would want to do the research as to why we had a wheelage tax and now we don't. I believe the board must have did their due diligence, and there was a reason why we no longer have it. I would want to do the research on that and hear what they have to say.
Craig Johnson.
No.
Jeff Reinert.
I'm not sure I know what the wheelage tax is.
I'm not sure I do either.
The wheelage tax, when you go renew your vehicle license, there was an additional $10 tax through Anoka County. They fought really hard to get that tax put on there. And then what happened was Ramsey County learned how well Anoka County did with this, and so then they tacked on a wheelage tax. I am not sure why Anoka County removed the tax, but they did remove it.
Now, would you care to answer?
All right. Well,
Jeff?
another tax. We don't. If we don't need it, then let's not do it. It would be my answer. being in government for 20 years and being an elected official, I am just amazed at how many different ways people are creative and how to dig into our pockets. So if we don't need this one, let's leave it alone.
And, okay,
Do I get a chance?
Karen?
Sure, go for it.
Karen?
I was posed this question at an earlier interview in this candidacy process, and my question was, what is the wheelage tax exactly? I had a bit of an idea, but I wasn't sure. And the reply was, well, you're going to hear a lot more about it. So I have not researched it in the flurry of everything that I've been doing, preparing for all of this. Just learned a little bit about it from Cindy. I guess my question before I could say I would support it or not support it was, where does that $10 go? That's a $10 wheelage tax. What is that money being spent on? I guess that would be a really good question I would need to have answered before I could answer yes or no on the support of it.
Thank you. Then I have been advised that this would be the last question, and it will go first to Craig Johnson. Pick one of these 3 smaller District 6 communities: Lexington, Linwood Township, or Columbus.
I pick Columbus.
What is a need? What is a need you can help work on in that community if you are elected commissioner?
Well, I think Lexington, I have a little more of a feel for. They're having some changes happening there. That community, again, 1 square mile, a lot of older homes. I don't know if you guys noticed, but right on Lovell and Lexington and Lake, they've got a new lofts or apartment going in there, and then they've got another one planned, and then they've got another one planned. So my thoughts there is not to pick on the Lexington Council, but have they done enough research to look at what that's going to do to the city? It's kind of the carrot to the city as far as development, but what long-term will that mean? And so I think from my perspective, having some experience with that is understanding that, hopefully providing some guidance, and certainly seeing where the future holds, because again, this goes beyond our terms.
Thank you. Karen, Lodico?
I also would choose Lexington. I'm more familiar with that community and just live 2 miles down the road from it, have watched it grow and watched the crime grow in that area. I know that there are a couple of bars. There's one that just changed to the Boulevard Restaurant, which helped clean it up a little bit. But there are a lot of arrests that come out there. So I would like to, and I can't explain why, because there's not that much business there. There's pretty much a grocery store and a tobacco shop and a bar. So just right off the top of my head, that's what I would say. We work on the safety and security and policing of the area.
Thank you. Cindy Hansen.
I would pick Linwood. The residents there are so proud, the ones I've met are so proud of what they have in Linwood. But one thing that is a huge issue for them is lack of reliable internet. And there are people that, I don't know how they do this, but they're running businesses out of their homes without reliable internet. I think nowadays that is unacceptable, and that I would like to get reliable internet for Linwood.
Thank you. Jeff Reinert.
Well, out of those cities, Columbus, I love Columbus. And the people up there, I know a lot of people that are up there. They have just a different way of doing things, and I like the way they do it. They have 5-acre lots, and everybody's got their own little paradise up there. But it's kind of a good symbol for cities in general. I remember when I got involved with politics 20 years ago, there's a lot of exterior forces on each city to kind of be a rubber stamp of the next city. I think it's so vitally important that each city decides what their identity is going to be and then be that. And if you look at Linwood and Columbus, Lino Lakes, Centerville, Circle Pines, Lexington, and Blaine, I mean, they're all different cities, and they're all kind of trying to be, their own identity, and I love that. I love that about it. So I say Columbus, but I would, as a Anoka County Commissioner, support their, what they want to do with, the elbow room and freedom up there that they have, so.
Thank you. And now, do you want to read the statement first? We will first read a closing statement from the candidate who was not able to be here, Donovan McGuire.
Yes, my name is Karen Varian, and I'm a League of Women Voters member, and our rules do allow a candidate who cannot be present to submit a statement of 2 minutes or less, and Donovan McGuire has done that. So I'll read that statement. I am a resident of Anoka County for the past 40-plus years, living most recently in Lino Lakes for approximately 19 years. I am married for the past 42 years to my sweetheart with 4 children. I have been in the banking industry for more than 40 years, currently market president for the Midwest One Bank for the last 17 years. My concentration is in management and small to mid-market business banking. I am an alumni member of the University of Minnesota with educational focus in management and finance. In addition, I am honorably discharged veteran of the U.S. Army. My background also includes sitting on several boards of directors, including the Small Business Administration's local development company, Central Minnesota Development Company. Our mission there is to assist small business owners in advancing their success through job and economic development. Also, I currently sit on the Allina Hospital's Mercy Foundation Board. I am an active member of the Anoka Masonic Organization as their treasurer. I am very active in many nonprofit and chambers of commerce covering our county. Lastly, a very conservative individual with strong principles. I feel that my strong background in business development, management, and community involvement would be very beneficial to our county, assisting in the future progress and advancement of our county. I am not a politician, rather a concerned and loyal member of our county. I do not have a typical tagline used by many politicians and can only promise to support our communities in our best interests morally and ethically and economically. In closing, I hope this will give your members a general understanding of who and why I have a desire to assist in the management of our county.
Thank you, Karen. Jeff Reinert, your closing statement, please.
Okay, well, thanks for this opportunity this evening. I kind of look at running for office like a job interview, and I've never applied to be an electrician or a plumber. And the reason why is because I don't know those jobs. And if I was hired for one of those jobs, I would probably do a bad job. But I do know this job, and I feel like I've been preparing for this job for the last 20 years of my life. This is no small job. Anoka County has a $300 million budget. They have 2,000 employees, and it's the 4th largest county in the state. We need to get someone into that chair that knows what they're doing, and I do. I've been a part of this community for 44 years. I've been in business for 35 years and an elected official 8 times for the last 20 years. I think that everyone should vote for Jeff Reinert because I think that guy is going to do a good job. And I've hoped that I've earned your trust, respect, and support to do just that. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Lodico.
I am a believer that past performance is indicative of future performance. After serving and being elected 3 times on the Centennial School Board and representing Centennial on another board and being a delegate, I've worked collaboratively with my other board members, and we started a lot of projects that we finished in the time that I was there that I'm very proud of. The experience that I bring is with a very diverse population with different needs in different areas, and I'm excited to do that. I do have a business background. I moved here 30 years ago from Kansas. I was an Army brat that lived all over the world, graduated from Wichita State with a business economics degree, and I have been in Anoka County 21 of my 30 years and have raised my family here. And I'm looking forward to continuing on to make it a safe and secure place that everybody loves to be at.
Thank you.
For your vote.
Craig Johnson.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me tonight. I've given you an idea who I am and what I've accomplished. While I may be new to public service, I'm fully committed to being a full-time public servant to this county and its residents. My focus will be on the residents from day one. I'll let my values follow me to and through to this position. I'll work with the other commissioners in the most functional manner possible, collaborate when I can, and push for change when I must. I pledge to serve as a resident-centered sounding board and a voice for our community. I ask you today to vote for me, Craig Johnson, on November 5th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cindy Hansen.
And I also would like to thank the League of Women Voters for giving me this opportunity. And again, I would like to remind you of the 9 years Anoka County elected official experience that I have. And it's given me irreplaceable experience in leadership, negotiating, balancing budgets, prioritizing, thinking outside of the box, but most importantly, listening to people and giving people a voice. I have 9 years experience working with a 2-county, 3-city joint powers agreement. This is going to be crucial to the lucrative development of the Minnesota Technology Corridor. I will work hard to bring business to Anoka County and let businesses thrive. I realize that District 6 has diverse areas, each having its own unique personality, and I love and respect that. As the Anoka County Commissioner for District 6, I will represent each and every one of these communities, not just Lino Lakes. I am running for Anoka County Commissioner because I can bring to the board experience, integrity, passion, transparency, and proven leadership that you can trust. I am Cindy Hansen, and I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you. So I thank all of the candidates for coming tonight to speak to voters and for putting yourself forward for election. Our democracy depends on citizen involvement. Thank you to the audience for your great questions. And if you need more information about League of Women Voters, visit their website, lwvabcmn.org or mnvotes.org for election information. And remember to vote November 5th. This concludes the candidate forum for the special election for Anoka County Commissioner for District 6. On behalf of League of Women Voters, Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids, thank you and good evening.